All right, so this is going to be part two to the video. If you haven't seen part one, then please go check that out first because it lays the foundation for evolution through embryology. So this conversation, I want you guys to notice a couple of things. That now I have someone in here that the debate's creationist, evidently, and I want you to notice how many times this guy interrupts me compared to how many times I interrupt him. But the moment that I start to interrupt him after he's interrupted me numerous times, I get warned, and then my mic gets shut off. But he's allowed to go the whole time. But it's more important, I want you guys to check out towards the end of this video how I get this guy to actually vehemently defend lying to children to prove evolution. He vehemently defends that we should lie to kids in an effort to prove evolution to them. Check this out.
Go ahead, Skog. I want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, so I mean, just to start off, I mean, embryologic relatedness isn't really like the end-all be-all. That is just like an afterthought. It's a motif that you look at when analyzing two similar species. You just align that as a coincidence, if you will, afterwards. You're kind of like, oh, cool, that also looks alike. An evolutionary biologist doesn't say, hey, look, these embryos look alike, therefore they're related, right? There's more nuance to that. I think to start off, I see here that first and foremost, like you guys are comparing, I think, like ichthyological structures, like fish structures, to what I believe is like what the modern man today, or like early hominid, like to show relatedness or some type of retroconvergency between the species that they came from one similar ancestor. Yeah, and I mean, I haven't read the literature too much because I know it's like novel or so it's new, but it's like this idea that like the gill structures are what. For while we're recruited by land terrestrial animals, particular hominids, they evolved into what we see now as like inner ear structures, right? And orbital structures around the head, right? I think that's what the literature is indicating from last time I looked at it.
Yep.
And then even like that, I think the hyoid bone was another one. And that's just, and so there's some interesting stuff here, right? It isn't the fact that these structures just look alike, but they also, you could see how there's a functional trend, right? And by functional trend, what I mean is that you can see how these structures could migrate or move or mutate to lead down this pathway, right? So when an evolutionary biologist talks about things like the structures in a fish, sorry, I'm not an ichthyologist, I don't know all the bones on a fish or whatever, right? Whatever structure it is, they try to see what could happen, what type of mutations could occur to allow this to move internally or migrate within the cranial structure. And that's how they come to the conclusion that this is what's related here. These things about like, hey, they look similar, or they have the bumps here, or they look like gills, and that's kind of like an afterwards thought, or something just to point out
it's actually,
relatedness, right? But,
well, that's not.
No, that is true, right? So like the heuristic is that is 100% true. The heuristic is you start off and you say this is a related structure, but that doesn't necessitate that these two things have to be related, right? There's many other ways that you can analyze relatedness. This isn't just through structural, visible, gross analysis.
Right.
Yeah,
I would agree with
the gene takes over. At some
the
point,
overall.
the gene takes over.
Sorry, go ahead.
At some point, the gene takes over and instructs it to develop in a certain way.
I would agree with you that it's not all of it, and I wouldn't make an absolute claim on anything, but I think you're also downplaying the amount of comparative analysis that they actually do. This is legitimately and literally the entire fossil record is done this way. That's legitimately what that is.
I mean, do you think there's not a genomic analysis portion of that?
I'm not saying that there's
not other avenues.
Oh,
So
no,
do you
no,
think that those things,
brother,
do you
I just
think
said
now in
that.
the literature in particular, like in particular now with literature, do you
Hold-
think that
hold on,
scientists
you're-
speak so confidently about structures when
Hold on a second. You're going really fast. Let me land here because what we said was I think you downplayed it. Now I just said I wouldn't speak in absolutes. Could they use other additional evidences? Yes, but to downplay it and say, well, this is just a small portion of it. That's not true. Literally the evidence of embryology and the fact that these bumps or gill slits are literally just from observation. Just observation.
Okay.
The entire fossil record is nothing more than shapes and assumptions. So for you to downplay it and say that evolutionary biologists don't do this, it's exactly what they do.
Again, to finalize and conclude true relatedness, when we speak about, especially when speaking to evolutionary biologists, I mean, I can send out some invites right now, and they can, if they're free, they'll join. But a lot of them are in the UK.
I debate them all the time.
Right now. So what I would say though, and this is from not only like from my understanding from my field, which overlaps a lot with their field, but also with them themselves. they don't come to the same complete conclusion that, hey, this thing is related to that 100% end of conversation unless there's other means of relatedness. In this case,
That's-
genetic analysis, right?
Well, it depends
So,
on what field
I-
you're talking about, but in the field that
so
we're
the-
talking about
I mean,
on this prompt, as
so
far as
evolutionary
embryology,
biology.
you are factually inaccurate. That's exactly what they
So
do.
I don't see that at all, right? So the literature, like they might reference,
I
like,
literally
hey, we know
just
that there's a
gave you the
similarity.
evidence, brother. Can you
Hold on,
contend with
hold
the
on, hold
fact
on.
that they're saying that these
So,
these
I'm
bumps are
answering
gill
your question.
slits?
I'm answering your question. So they might say, hey, there's relatedness here, but they won't conclude just off of that, right? A lot of these
can't.
theoretical papers are
Just
bringing up.
because it looks like it, because it looks like gills, doesn't mean they are.
So again, what I'm saying
hold on,
here.
Steve. Hold
Yeah.
on just a second. Let Skog and Creation talk it out. In Creation, you'll notice there's multiple things on my prompt other than just embryology. I
Yeah.
had fossil records, I had genetic analysis, I
Yeah,
had
you
all
did.
that other stuff listed as well. So
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely, host.
he's
Yeah,
leaning
and-
into multiple. I'm leaning into multiple proofs.
You are, but I that's why, and you are, and in the spirit of fairness, you're absolutely right, according to your prompt. But what we were talking about at the time was embryology. So I think that's, if we're going to say that they have these different other comparative, it's more than comparative analysis. I would agree with you that it's more than comparative analysis, and that's what I even said to him about a lot of things. But sometimes.
Sure.
A
that's
huge
just
bulk of
holistic.
this is comparative analysis, and I brought up the fossil record. That's nothing but comparative analysis. So
so,
my
I mean, I just
only,
wanna-
my only, let me just land this right here, and I'll let you go. My only point was to say that I felt like he's not wrong in what he said, that they use other things. Sometimes they don't, like the human gill slits. That's literally just comparative analysis. The fossil record is literally just comparative analysis. I just kind of felt like it was being downplayed, saying that we have all this additional information when what we were talking about at the time was human gill slits.
Interesting. So what I do want to say, this is like, so, okay, maybe I should start off like this, right? When the word comparative analysis isn't just looking at, hey, this looks similar. That's gross analysis, right? That's a particular type of comparative analysis. That's like, by gross, I don't mean like disgusting. Gross as in from what you see from your eyes, right? So like a doctor would say they're doing a gross analysis of your etiology or cancer tissue or whatever that they have a problem with. Gross literally just means just looking at it, what does it look like? Okay, yeah. The gross analysis is part of comparative analysis. Comparative analysis is a whole branch, as in genetic information, fossil record, even geology, and all these little nuances thrown in. Just the definition correctness there, right? Now, moving towards this idea of like embryology, if they do say that there's some relatedness to word structures, that's holistic, right? That isn't the thing that puts the nail in the coffin for evolutionary biologists. They're not going to accept something and say like, hey, this is 100% fact just because it looks similar. They have to do more research with that and more genetic analysis, as well as comparative analysis when it comes to geology and all these other little nuances that allows the conclusions to be made, or triangulate on relationships between this species and its environment, other species around it, its descendants and its predecessors. Right?
Well, if that's
So there's a lot of
true when it
nuance.
comes to embryology, why is this still being taught? And it's a lie that was told 150 years ago. And Haeckel's drawings is still being. I can show you textbooks where it's being taught in schools, and this is 150 years ago, where we know that his drawings are complete lies. So if what you just said is true, then why are they continuing to teach this lie that was proven wrong 150 years ago?
So I just want to make sure, like, what entirely is the lie? Like, what is the particular lie being you're supposedly being upheld?
Was you here when I showed Haeckel's drawings compared to the actual photographs?
No, I was not.
Sure, I got you. 1 second. Let me turn this around again.
And can I ask you real quick while you're doing that, like, who is teaching that? Is this like colleges, undergrad?
Sure. Yeah. Let me show you the drawings, and then I'll show you right here. So the top line right here, this is Haeckel's drawings, right? And he drew them all looking very similar, clearly saying that in our earliest.
I can't switch them spots. Somebody will have to.
Yeah, appreciate it. So all these drawings right here look the same. Let me go to Haeckel's original drawings. This right here is Ernest Haeckel's original drawings. This was in the 1860s. This top line right here is a fish, then it goes to a turtle, chicken, salamander, and so on. But in stage 1 right here, you see that all the embryonic stages look very similar. Stage 2, they start to change. And then stage 3, they start to resemble what they most likely are going to be. Obviously, you got a human, and the human is up here in the first stage. You got a fish, and then the fish down here is in the third stage. But you can see the first stage of the fish and the first stage of the human. They look really, really, really similar. And then you got chicken, turtle, and so
Okay.
forth and so on. Okay, here's Haeckel's drawings actually compared to, well, why did this work? Okay, here's Haeckel's drawings actually compared to real photographs. Here's his drawing up top: human, rabbit, chicken, turtle, salamander, fish. Here's a fish. When we talked about these little bumps right here in the drawings, these are what people are saying turned into gill slits. Now here's the actual photo. You can see these two little dark lines right there. That's what they're saying they are. Now they're saying they used to be gill slits, but here's the actual fish. They do not have the same structures that human have. So to say that they come from fish when the fish don't even have the same structures is ridiculous. But that's Haeckel's drawing. It was a lie that was proven wrong 150 years ago. This is a textbook that was printed in 2001. It focuses on life science. This is in the California education system. This is Haeckel's drawings right there. That was proven wrong. This is a textbook in 2011.
Okay.
This is a science guide in 2011. That's Haeckel's drawing. That is a lie.
Interesting. I mean, I'm assuming these are for, because it's a California school system. I mean, this would just be for high school diagrams.
Well, that
I mean,
right
not
there
only
was
would I
a-
just not assume.
That one's Texas.
I mean,
I got many more. You just started
Texas,
talking,
whatever.
so
That's fine.
Well, got California,
It's okay.
Texas. You got more than that.
Perfect, right? And I mean, I guess like 2011, whatever. I mean, when it comes to like high school diagrams, I'm not too concerned with that. I mean, if it was the case that,
Not too
I guess-
concerned with
sure,
lies
sure,
being
but-
told to children.
well, I'm not too concerned with the fact that it has to go in depth to completely have some type of nuanced understanding until you're on a graduate school level, right?
I think that is
the same way that
a
you're
a disgusting
taught, the same way-
statement to say.
Well, the same way that
Okay,
you're taught
please.
that there's only 3 phases of matter, and then you get a little older, you learn that there's plasma, and then when you go into college, you understand that there's a very nuanced understanding what phase of matter is, compared to things like supercritical fluid, to other dense states, to this idea of like what really is plasma and ionized particles, right?
I just wanna
as
give you an
progress through,
opportunity
you start
to-
understanding things, right?
I just want
So
to
when it
give
comes
you an
this-
opportunity to take that
Hold
back.
on,
There's
I'm
Okay,
surely,
hold on one second.
surely you didn't mean
I'm
it.
answering-
Creation.
I'm answering-
You've
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
overtalked every time Skoggs goes to speak. You've interrupted him. You've got to let other people talk. Like
I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this idea is, I mean, so I guess I'll go back and focus on this topic, what I meant when I said that I'm not entirely too concerned with this, like in-depth, nuanced understanding that Haeckel's incorrect and there's not that much comparison. I'll grant that maybe there isn't at that much of a relatedness between that embryonic structure and that embryonic structure of like a human or whatever species. But the idea there is just a comparative analysis, like for just students to get used to this idea of like, hey, things look similar between species, right? The same way when you're younger in elementary school and you're taught something very basic that might not be true later down the line. For example, when some people believe that unoxygenated blood is blue before, it gets released from the system, and then when it meets oxygen, it becomes red, right? Obviously, that's not true as well. This idea there's only 3 phases of matter, or states of matter, excuse me, is not true as well. As you progress forward and you get like a higher education, you start getting a detailed nuance on the topic. So in this case, regarding Haeckel's drawing or whatever else with this, I don't think it's that serious. And I mean, if it is the case, you said they're from what, 2011, 2001, whatever. They wouldn't even get into like the in-depth analysis of it until you get into college, right?
Well,
And then
that
that's where you
doesn't
get,
matter.
This is-
Do you think
this
it's
is-
okay?
learn about
Do you
these
think it's
topics.
okay, though? Do you
This
think
is
it's
being
okay
taught
to-
in college, though. I haven't
that is
finished. I got
definitely not being
teach
taught in
kids.
college. That is
Yes, it
definitely not
is.
being taught in college.
Evidence through
But can you show
embryology
me,
is actually
can
being
you show
taught.
me a college course? I think
Hold on.
embryology is taught, but can you show me a college course
So
that
I
has
don't-
that curriculum part of it?
Yeah, I don't. You can actually
There
watch one.
isn't.
There is. Kent Hovind actually went to the and debated the guy at the college where he openly admitted that they did it. But I don't want to get too far off topic here because this I don't mind a little bit of interrupting. It's not my panel, so I do apologize. But this is why when we throw like 15 things out, then I'm chasing rabbits. But so you don't have a problem with lies being told in textbooks in an effort to support evolution. I think that's
I mean,
ridiculous.
in this case, I don't think it's a significant lie, and I don't think
It's not a significant. It's just a little lie. It's just a little lie. We can tell little lies.
Let me explain like this. I don't think it is any different than saying that there's only 3 phases of matter or states of matter when later on there's 4, right? You just make it simple
Brother,
for kids or whatever.
if you have
and in this
a-
case, when addressing this topic, I think it's just gross analysis, just showing that hey, things are similar. It isn't.
But they
kids,
don't.
You
They-
need
right
to
there.
worship this and understand this. Right,
Right there.
I
Let
don't
me
think
stop
that's
you right there. I'm not trying to interrupt, but you did me a little bit. Right there, when you said these things have comparative analysis, but they don't, And that's the problem. They don't look alike. And when you're saying that they do in an effort to make children think that we come from a fish, when the evidence of comparative analysis actually shows the exact opposite of that, that is a lie. And for you to say, well, it's still okay for them to teach that just because they hadn't got to college is a outrageously gross statement, man. I don't think children should be taught anything that is a known lie.
I would like to know though. I would like to know though, like how in depth are they? Are they pointing at these particular parts when they're in high school, or are they talking about just vertebrate structure in general? That they start off as duodersome, and then they progress into something that has like a spinal cord moving, and then it just follows the same flow.
No, they actually
with like fetal development, right? So
no, they actually have
exactly
tests.
what's being said.
Yeah, I got the textbooks. They're actually saying they asked the children on the test how do these things compare and look alike to each other. Well, you're asking them about a chart that is a lie, and so you're giving them saying how do these look like? How do these things look alike? Explain to me the similarities between the human embryo and the fish embryo, and the chart that they're given actually makes them look alike, but in real life they don't, and we know that it was a lie. It's again a lie 150 years ago. So, and again, I just don't know why you're. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's really gross that anybody would be advocating to teach children lies in school, no matter what. If it's a lie, they shouldn't be taught it.
Nuance, right?
Yeah, it's just a little lie.
Well, I mean, if that's what you want to believe and that's how you want to say it, I don't know what I could say to you. But it's just simple addressment of a way to look at things, right? And it's just explaining kids like, hey, there are things that you look at when comparing.
Except it's a lie.
Right? And that's all it is, right? And
yeah, except
it just
it's a
opens
lie.
Door. I mean, do you think telling kids that there's only 3 states of matter is a lie to them, or do you think
that has nothing to do with this conversation? I don't have any. This conversation has nothing to do with 3 states of matter.
Simple introductions to certain topics. Do you think those are lies?
Here's what I'll say to that. If it's a known lie, it shouldn't.
Or should we just bombard them with college level topics?
I mean, you're muting me up, but not him. Okay, so and I think it's fair to say that he's interrupted me just as much as I have him, guys. All right, so. Here's my absolute unequivocal statement. We should not teach lies to children, period. If it's a lie, get it out of the textbooks. Okay. There's no nuance to that.
So 4 states of matter, we need to jump straight into like college analysis of anatomy and physiology and embryology. When they're
if you want to give them a small sample of something that is true, that's fine.
Okay, so
but you're telling me they have to give them lies in an effort to teach them later. Right, so just lie to them now so you can give them more information later. It's ridiculous. But listen, man,
it's progressive.
This conversation,
nuance, right?
That's progressive nuance. This conversation has gone as far as that. I'm just not.
I mean, would you like to prefer to talk about like the fossil record or something else?
Nah, man, I'm good with it. Host, I appreciate you having me up.
About this, right?
I know, man. But I just be honest with you. No disrespect to you. I think the conversation's gone as far as it's going to go. Host, I do appreciate you having me up, man. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question before you head out?
Yeah, man. Sure. What you got?
Why don't you believe in evolution? What's your main point of this?
So I don't want to. It's a long conversation, and I do have to go anyway. But I don't want to do like a selfless plug right here, but you can just check my page out where I literally just come off a debate earlier. I do this all the time too, where I debate evolutionists. Long story short, genetic information gain. So I believe in microevolution. I think that's testable and observable, but any of the other evolutions outside of micro, like macroevolution, is clearly not part of science because it's not testable and observable, and there's no genetic information gain. But for you to go into the nuance in that, you can check out my channel.
I would love to. I host lives as well. I would love for you to stop by because we can definitely talk about that if you don't have the time right now.
Yeah, sure, man. All right, y'all have a good one, guys.